Okay, so it is 6:06. I want to apologize and thank everyone for your patience. We had a few technical sort of issues getting in, so thank you all. Okay. So I'm going to call the WSESD board meeting to order. The meeting of the WSESD will come to order. This meeting is a hybrid meeting, which means that some or all of the public body is meeting remotely and some are meeting physically at a previously noticed location where the public may attend to observe, listen, and participate contemporaneously. Please note that while we will strive to provide means for those attending remotely to participate in the public comment period, there may be technical difficulties or reasons that otherwise prevent or interrupt remote public participation. Therefore, it is important to note that the open meeting law only ensures the public's right to participate and comment at a public meeting by attending at the designated physical location as posted in the notice and agenda. If a member of the public or of the public body has technical difficulties accessing the meeting remotely, please alert us by email. In the event of a technical difficulty that cannot be resolved, we may continue the meeting if necessary to time and place certain. Please note that all votes taken during this meeting that are not unanimous will be done by roll call vote in accordance with the law.
Before we begin the meeting, I think the board would like to take a moment of silence to recognize a loss that our community has experienced. And it's always devastating when there's any loss in any of our school communities, but especially so when it's a student. So we'd just like to take a moment of silence now to remember the BUHS student who died this week.
Thank you, Robin, for that. And thank you. So we will, are there any amendments to the agenda this evening? Seeing none, we will move on to student matters. 5 to 10 minutes. Are there any students in the Zoom who would like to speak to the board?
Hi, yes. Okay. Our schools need to realize that some of our students are suffering eternally, and there are things that we can and cannot do. We can stop all these microbullying that goes on. Any significant amount of bullying can completely affect a student's mental health. Even if there are safe places in the school, the scholars of this generation tend to hold things in. We need to find out ways to have these students open up. And the year that I've been here, I've seen that it has gotten a lot better and has started to go downhill a little bit. These microbullying is still a form of bullying, and it still has a major effect on students. I believe that microbullying should not be met with micro consequences. Bullying is still bullying. I feel as though the schools should have these rallies that allow students to participate and say their part. And that's how we can address it. That way everybody has a voice and things can get addressed accordingly.
Thank you, Jaden.
Yeah, the speaker was Jaden Gonzalez.
Yeah, I believe that was Jaden.
Thank you, Jaden.
No, thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jay.
Are there any other students who would like to speak?
Jaden, I think we all have different interpretations of what bullying is. What kinds of bullying are you talking about?
Well, there's many different types of forms of bullying. First and foremost, you have the name calling, student act, the way a student dress, and stuff like that. But stuff like that is still bullying at the end of the day, even if it's a name that's considered to be, I guess, funny. That's still bullying, and that could potentially hurt the student's feelings and even more.
Thank you, Jason. Jaden.
I'll ask one more time, any other students who would like to share anything with the board? Seeing none, we will move along to the administrative report.
Okay, we have two visitors here with us tonight. Kathy Thielen, who runs the Flexible Pathways program at the UHS, and Rhonda Weingartner, who runs the Dual Enrollment program that continues to grow year after year. So we're going to begin with Kathy Thielen.
Hi, my name is, I'm not even sure what it's named. Hi, my name is Kathy Thielen. I am the Flexible Pathways Coordinator. For those of you who know me, I've been here about 19 years, so that's a long time. And for those of you who don't know me, I am still Kathy Thielen. So I want to share with you, I've been hired into this position. It was part of the ESSER funding 3 years ago. And the position is the Flexible Pathways Coordinator. So I have developed a program called Flex. There have been plenty of flexible pathways existed before I came on, but I have further developed a different program. So if you can scroll down and then go over to the Flex Growth. I'm going to start out with the data first, in part because I want you to see the results, and then we will go back and show you how we got to the results you see. So if we scroll so we can see the whole thing here, it shows that there's a trajectory upward. We started out in the first year with about 26 students that we assisted, then went to 43. You can see it's doubled to about 85. And so you can see that we were helping a lot of seniors mostly, because the charge I was given was to help seniors and super seniors to graduate. We were just coming back from COVID, and so that was what we were working on. I did an average of the percentages. So first you can see there's a 5% in the first year, jumps to 12%, which was last year's graduating class. Anecdotally, I can tell you, I think there were like 24 students who are seniors specifically, some of the seniors specifically, and 12 of them, 50% of them were walking across the grad platform because of Flex. And then we also have that we've jumped assuming that everything, our projections are close to accurate for this spring, it looks like it'll be about 18% for graduation increase, which averages out to 12% for over the 3-year span. This is important because really we're looking at improving the graduation rate, and so you can see that Flex alone has contributed to that number. And if you go, Paul, if you don't mind going to the next tab. So how do we do this? This was based on the Flex programming. There's 5 categories here, the 2 independent study and credit recovery at the bottom. Those 2 things existed before I got in this position. And they're smaller numbers because I didn't start overseeing independent study until a year ago fall. But what you can see here over the time period as well as the grades, Flex studies is considered like an independent study light. It's a dynamic curriculum that the students help develop during the course of our time together. We also have extended incompletes. That was a program that I suggested having, and now we're in our 3rd year where if a kid has failed in the fall, they have a chance to immediately recover it in that spring. And that purpose was so that there's greater retention, there's greater chance of them recovering it, remembering their stuff in March, right, as opposed to trying to remember whatever happened in October to remember it in July. So that has had a great uptick, the large numbers here. This is fantastic. That keeps growing. FlexWorks is another program, another component I put in place, and that's where our students who have jobs already, I'm not preparing those jobs, they have them, but then we use their work site as part of their job site and part of their curriculum, and then they also do a separate career exploration component, and it's around like how to be a better employee. So it's soft job skills and hard job skills. If we could move to the next, that's 94%, there is like 94% of that is flex programming specific. Okay, so that's an update. Part of the ARP ESSER funding, one of the things that was identified, and it also is in the continuous improvement plan for both 2022, 2023, and the 23-24, is a discussion about making sure we're increasing serving our underserved, our historically marginalized populations. It's defined there, how it's used in the report, but basically you can see 75% of my students that I see over this last 3 years ends up being under the historically marginalized category. So that's an uptick too. So meeting goals left and right. Then here, one of the things that counselors have often said to me is that, like, oh God, Kathy, we need to get this kid on track. This kid is not going to, or oh goodness, this kid, the only way they're going to graduate is if they stay on track with this. Whether it is a flex study, flex works opportunity, or the F50 extended and complete, their participation in that. So here, once again, looking at the data, it's about 89.6%, which is all because of flex programming, is why is getting kids to the graduation platform. So cap and gown. Okay, so and I know I'm racing through, but because I want to be cognizant of time, this is all on the website. I have sent it out. It's also on the VUHS website too, and it's under program of studies, so you can see all of this. This is one of the things that has always been important to me is, like, I always say beyond these 4 years, beyond these 4 walls, and the idea is like, yeah, we're like, oh my gosh, we gotta get these kids to graduation, but yes, we do. And we also need to really help them prepare for what's actually happening in the world, whether it's three months out, 6 months, or so forth. So I started tracking and paying attention to like what the kids were doing, the topics you can see below here, but I was also paying attention to what they're doing. Obviously, a fair amount of the work I do it's a grad requirement, right? We're getting them to graduation. But I can tell you, I didn't find out exactly like what percentage of that was them studying specifically what they wanted versus a grad track. I'm gonna go and do that data later and update this. But you can still see there's a good percentage of everything that they're doing in Flex with me either gets them to graduation or helps them in career, independent living, and education, college. I didn't check my time here. I wanted to share, there's a ton of these, okay? We're not gonna go through all of them. I'm just gonna share maybe 2 or 3. I wanna share, I think it's the first one, art in construction. That was the very first one that I had done. This is a student who really was struggling. And if you could just set that on you can hit the slideshow. This is a kid who said to me, and you can just sort of like slowly go through as we're this is a kid who was struggling and he needed art credit. He needed to meet the art proficiencies. So I worked with a lot of what I do is working with the department heads. So I worked with, at the time it was Richard Heller and also John DiMatteo, the construction teacher, and we really were able to make sure a kid who loves construction could now look at it through the lens of art proficiencies. And this kid did an amazing job. when you get a chance, go back and see, because he did video of all of his stuff, right? Of all of, and it was amazing. And then there's another kid who simultaneously did an art one as well. He didn't want to do any video. And so, but he just typed at everything he did, but he also was doing art and construction. You can back out of that. There's a ton of stuff. It's very, very impressive, yeah. And then if you can go back to the website, we'll go back to that first tab.
We'll just have a race, we can see where I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let's go ahead and check. Here's a gap. Let's check out this. I've got so many here. Let's check out the gap college year. This is a student that I worked with, Havame. She worked with me for an entire year. We did 2 credits each semester. We worked on both gap year, not both, gap, college, and career planning. It was amazing to see the amount of work she did. She was very motivated. In the process, she was doing early graduation. She is now currently in her gap year. She has done all the things that we went through and identified. If you could, let's see here. If you could look at the gap year one for a second. Yeah, yep. So if you scroll down, one of the things that we're helping do is like, we go through and we identify what her level of interest is in gap year programs, and then we're doing research. And then from there, she's narrowing it down, and we're having lots of conversation around what does she really want and what's going to best suit her. And so by the end, she's able, if you scroll all the way down, you can see she's picked what she's doing. So she's done, she did Munich, she's been learning German, and then she's also done Italy. So she's in her gap year now, and she has come back, and in the fall, she came back and went ahead and applied for her colleges as well. Okay, I'm just trying to be cognizant of time. If we can go back once more. And let's do one more. Let's do, this is culinary, an arborist. This is a student who I worked with late last spring. Then I had him do documentation over the summer. And then, or like do the work and do the hours. If you want to get, I don't know how many you know, Quinn, he's this great kid who's part of the Career Center and just flying high. I just heard he got a job at Peter Haven, so I can't wait to go there. So anyway, this also, when you get a chance, explore his, because he really did a very good job. Looking at being an arborist over the summer, he worked with somebody, but also he did a lot with culinary. And I think in the end, he's now rejuvenated, and he really, this fall, he's focused in on culinary. Okay. So let's go back. So when you get a chance, go ahead and check out some of the other websites. Let's do a little back, and let's go to the program overview, please.
Where are you?
This is right here.
Program.
Yep, and we'll see that. We just did Flex Data. So then, where did we start? Couple short 3 years ago, we started out, I was hired and started in the fall 21. First thing I did was a needs assessment, and then really what I discovered is, although we have stellar programming we have excellent flexible pathways, dual enrollment being one of them, we still are missing, we're still missing kids. And so what I did is I focused in on there were unintentional barriers like deadlines and criteria and all these other things. And so I focused on making it student-driven, student-centric with their voice and choice, which is, I think I referenced Esther before. These 3 things here are things that I knew that my program would be sort of born out of and have to pay attention to. And I'm happy to report that we have done this. All of my things are student-led. We did a big focus on enrichment and credit recovery. And then, of course, whenever, I tell kids it's 80-20. It's 80% them, 20% me in terms of what you want to learn, how you want to learn it, and how you want to show what you've learned. And then this will show right down here, just shows you specifically what I've done over the last couple of years. First year was a needs assessment. I implemented Flex Studies and also the F50 extended program. But the second year I did Flex Works, that job one I was telling you about. Also went a lot with the Career Center last year, just trying to see what the overlap and checking on redundancies. And then also I observed independent studies. And then this year I have not implemented a full-on new project, but instead I'm doing a lot of background work and partnering on things that we're hoping to implement in the future. Because there's still some gaps that we're missing. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you. A few minutes for questions or comments for Kathy?
Can you explain how are students identified to participate in these Flex studies? Is it by student choice or teachers that refer them, or how does it work?
That's a great question. We have historically been having them referred by counselors and or case managers. I have now, interestingly, had students refer each other. So that's been awesome, actually. And but generally it is through teachers, counselors, case managers. Occasionally I've got advisors saying, hey, I got this kid, I think they'd be great for you. But really, as long as there's an interest and the kid wants to graduate, there's a bunch more on the rest of the website you can explore, but it'll also speak to that too. Any other questions?
I'm hoping that someone can send out that link. I can't find that website on the UHS website.
It's with, that is tougher. I did talk to Allison Cram. She was supposed to be attaching it to my profile, but also it is in the program of studies. But yes, we can
Yeah, if you could
totally
just send
it
it,
out.
yes.
Who should I send it?
Oh, Mark will. Mark can
Yeah,
send it.
oh yeah. You have it,
Yeah.
yeah. So if you-
Can you speak a little bit to how does the Flex program tie into MLSS and any IEPs in special education at the high school?
Absolutely. Yeah, it ties in very closely. So this, I support students who are both within officially special ed, but also who are considered not special ed. And so a lot of times what happens, I have had case managers specific for 504s, and when I did that breakdown of historically marginalized versus not, what I didn't do, because I just wanted to be sort of cautious around what level of identification, is do the breakdown of IEP, 504, and such. What I will tell you though is, I'd say, anecdotally, I would say maybe 40%, 45% fall under kids like that first kid, or like some of the kids that I've worked with, they need help with executive function. Some kids aren't even necessarily identified, truth be told, but they still need help because we have a lot of kids who are not officially on an IEP or under an official plan, but they're the ones who still need help. And so I'm helping a lot of those students. Additionally, we have like with you said MLSS, and we are like right now the F50 plan. I work with the academic support teachers, and they're helping to implement. They're the first line of support that students are getting, so that I set up the plan, they're the first line of support, and then the department head. But yeah, I work a lot with, I think I listed CELL, Access Hub, which is also another program this year, supporting students who need extra support.
Thank you.
Questions or comments?
That was a great presentation. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Now we have Rhonda Weingartner, who's going to share our dual enrollment program. Last night we hosted a dual enrollment night for families in the middle school and high school. And we had about, I would say 50 families show up for last night's presentation, which was terrific.
Oh, yeah. No, stay where you are. Thank you. Yes, it was really wonderful to have everyone there last night. So thank you for allowing me to present this evening. I am indeed the coordinator for the Dual Enrollment program, which is a district-wide program. So I work for both the high school and the Career Center. And we are starting to do some outreach for program promotion to the middle school as well. So the middle schools. So the college program officially is called Windham Regional Collegiate High School. And the reason it was given that is my personal mentor, Tom Yon, and Ron Staley are the people who originated this program. And when Tom came on, he wanted to make sure that he belonged to an organization called College for Every Student. And he wanted to make sure that every student realized that college was an attainable goal if they wanted to attain that. And so the original mission was to make sure that students who were first generation students had opportunities to be able to get college courses while they were in high school, or to at least access. But when it first started, so when you think of dual enrollment, I'm going to come to our vision in a moment, but when you think of dual enrollment, it simply means that students are having a dual hat on. They are a high school student and a fully enrolled college student earning a college transcript. Okay? High schools are not allowed to give college credit. That's where the college itself comes in. So traditionally, dual enrollment started by having our students go to the college to take college courses there. And then we created something called an outside course form where they would be able to, even though they were taking the class at the college maybe on Tuesday nights or Thursday afternoons at 3:30, cultural anthropology, it showed up on their schedule, say block 3, and they were allowed to go to the library and really work on that during that block. And then the state of Vermont simultaneously, about 18 years ago, did a longevity study, a future study, and was scared. They actually said that Vermont was in danger of becoming a welfare state. Our younger population was having less children, and our students within high school were moving away, especially in southern Vermont. Students were choosing not to educate themselves and not to remain employed or return to Vermont after they educated themselves. So they thought, well, what can we do? And I'm really honored to say that they really did look at the work that Tom and Ron were doing to figure out how we can make the idea of college more accessible, but what can we do to get young people to want to stay in Vermont? So the concept came up in the same act that created Flexible Pathways to be able to provide every student 2 free college courses. So every student in the state of Vermont gets a voucher, 2 vouchers that they can use beginning the minute they finish their sophomore year up until the minute they graduate from high school. And they can use that to take a class over the summer at UVM, at CCV, any of those. But what BUHS did that turned the state on its ear was we started creating something called concurrent enrollment. And that is a big part of what I do. So I literally go through college catalogs and make sure that there is a course that our students here are doing that matches the curricular. It has to be a direct match to the syllabi of the course college. It is vetted by the college's department heads, their provosts, and they make sure that yes, it's a match. And once we've got that, then the teachers have to go through all that vetting and they actually become adjunct faculty. And that program of dual enrollment is called concurrent, so those of you who know Spanish meaning with. So they are taking their college class, sitting in a seat. So we now have, and you'll see in a minute, 58 such courses. So our steering committee, and Mark and Nancy and Hannah and a number of others sit on that committee. We decided to really say, what is our vision? And so our vision is that every single student, regardless of their interests, regardless of their perceived ability and aspirations, understands the benefits of dual enrollment. That is our vision. Every student who enters our campus knows about dual enrollment and knows the benefits that they can get from it and actively chooses to engage in that. Right, to the next slide. So our mission, and I'm gonna move a little, I'm sorry if I block anything so you can see it. So our mission is to provide a very supportive, equitable learning environment that encourages all students to engage in dual enrollment. And what we're finding is that if students can take a college level course that's challenging at the level of college in an environment where they're very supported by teachers they know, they are far more likely to move forward and take that risk. People who know me well, it is my passion. It just, you can't give me a better day than to have a student come up to me after having 3 weeks in a dual enrollment class and say to me, Rhonda, can we talk? I didn't think I could go to college, but can you talk to me? Is there a chance that I can really go? And it's mind-blowing, heartwarming to have that happen, and it's happening in droves now. So it's to promote the benefits of dual enrollment, and dual enrollment is not just for college students. Every 24 to 27 credits of college that a student earns, they get an advancement in the military, both in rank, pay, and housing. Employers, I just had my 6th student on Monday come up to me and said, you were right. I told my employer I've got 6 college credits. I got a raise. So they actually get to check. I've got some college when they apply to jobs. Our employers want it. We work very closely with our community partners. GS, I'm kind of mixing this up. This is my 3rd presentation of this in less than 24 hours. But GS Precision, with our manufacturing program, they get 12 credits. And they have a beautiful manufacturing program over their apprenticeship. And so I thought, oh, well, we can save our kids time. And I went over there and said, can you take our credits? They said, no, you can't. I said, no, they have to stay cohorted. But if you could get them a college English class, because they have to have college English before they can start the apprenticeship program. So I went back and worked with Nancy and said, can we take our technical English courses to 3 and 4 and convert them into a college course? So it's now English composition, professional and technical writing and communication. And so those dovetail beautifully into traditional college programs, apprenticeship programs, and now we have students that have graduated. Last year was the first year we did that. They graduated, they've gone on to GS Precision and began to start the apprenticeship program. Because before, you're working all day, you don't really want to go to college at night to take one class you can't get financial aid for because it's just one and it's an English class. So this way, that's another barrier removed for them to move forward. So whether they're going after degrees, and we really, I'm going to come to this in a minute, when I was asked to come back to this position, I said on 2 conditions. 1, no more opt-in. We used to walk in and say, this class is for college credit. If you're interested, come talk to me. Thanks. Now it's, this class is for college credit. Everybody in here is taking it for college credit. If you're not, you better have a really good reason why you're not. Right? And then the other was money, and I'll come to that in a minute. So equitable, everybody gets a chance. No one has to judge themselves against somebody else in the class. Right? Okay, you can move on. Thank you. So we started this program in 2007-8. I actually started here in 2008, and it was a cohort of 15 students that went over to the School of International Studies. And from there, we started then the concurrent. And in 2010, we had just over 200 total registrations. There wasn't a count of how many students that did. And then changing it to opt out, everybody does it. Everybody gets the financial aid to pay for it. This year, between just this year, last semester and this semester, 644 students, or 44 college registrations, 306 individual students making up those. In our graduating class this year, 204 students, 150 of them will have at least 3 college credits. We now have 58 classes that happen right on our campus, and we're looking at 4 new ones for next semester. We've got it in place now. We want to grow now slowly and deliberately and make sure that everything it's purposeful and then move forward. Next one. So the benefits of dual enrollment, I'm going to give you 2 slides here. These are what the pundits, dual enrollment's been around for almost 20 years now, but it's just now gaining traction for two reasons. I'll come to the other one, but the benefits, much smoother transition. If you ever just want to have your doors blown off, go into Casey Dean's economic class, because it's very Socratic and the kids are so involved and they're really learning at a pace that they're going to learn. And you can go into any of the dual enrollment courses and experience this. And this is the big one. Dual enrollment now is almost the number one thing that admissions counselors look for in admitting a student. This generation, the class that's graduating now, and the 4 classes ahead of them are known to counselors at college as Generation P for pandemic. They don't have SAT or ACT scores to look at. They didn't get a chance to take them. A lot of things was on Zoom, and that colleges' no grades were very inflated for those students. It's hard to write a letter of recommendation for someone that you've seen on a Zoom classroom. Sometimes you don't even see their face. So they looked at dual enrollment, and now they found, so colleges live and breathe by retention, right? Whoever we enroll, they better come back next year, because that's what they get judged on. This National Clearinghouse has done a longevity study that students who take dual enrollment credits while they're in high school are 60% more likely to persist to graduation than their colleagues who have not. And so that has become a big push for admissions to have students do dual enrollment credit. College readiness, their motivations and aspirations, I mentioned that earlier. Kids, they're like, really? I'm getting this class for college credit? I didn't even know it was college credit. And then by the end, I just had it happen today. Somebody came in and said, how many more can I take next year? So that's what we want. Reduces remediation and the cost. We never charge a student more than $100 for a 3-credit class that happens on this campus, regardless of what the college charges us. If a student can pay that, if their family can pay it comfortably, they pay it to us or directly to the college. If they cannot, and this is where I really want to give a nod to our board and our district, they've been very generous in making sure that we have a scholarship fund, that if a family cannot afford it, and we do it really quietly. I send an email to all parents, and they send back a scholarship application, and we award them all the time. So $100 in this community, especially if you're taking 4 or 5, is a lot of money for our families. So it reduces the cost of college. This is the reason dual enrollment exists. Students were coming out with crippling debt. If we can reduce that cost before they even get started. And so there's a daughter of one of our strong community members who on Monday was the first time I saw her after break. She'd gone to Dual Enrollment Accepted Students Day at UVM Accepted Students Day. And I saw her Monday and I said, how did Accepted Students Day go? She was like, they gave me 21 credits. I saved $28,000. I'm saving over a semester. So kids go, and I've heard 2 stories just today, one from Casey Dean, one from a member of the Rotary, that one, their son had so many credits that transferred in, and he changed schools and lost a semester and was still able to graduate. Another student took an entire year off to do community service work in South America and was still able to come back and graduate with his cohorts. So you don't have to rush through, but you can take your time if you wish to stay with your cohort. We talked about expanding opportunities in the community. This is my focus coming up. We're working with Brattleboro Memorial Hospital. We just had 5 of our health services students hired after taking A and P physics. Anatomy and physiology for college credit, medical terminology. They were hired, they become medical assistants on the CCV and the hospital's dime, and then they continue on to be nurses and PAs and keep climbing the ladder. This is what I really would love your help with, identifying who in the community who needs and what they need from our students to become an employee and continue up their ladder. Starting wages we've talked about, and then the advancement in the military. Our own students, thank you, have said that they say more than 100 when we track it. There are over 2,000 colleges that take dual enrollment credit. UConn does they have a website that you can look up any state, any college, and see how likely they are to take dual enrollment. Colleges now know this is so important. They have transfer agreement pages on their websites, so you can go in and see how exactly, if you took a class at River Valley, is this college going to take it or not? They know how important it is now. So sometimes they don't, not to drop a name, but Yale, for example, may not give a student credit for sociology, but they give them advanced standing. That's the difference between dual enrollment and AP. When you take an AP course, you have, at the end, you have to take an exam, and you can get, if you get a 4 or 5, then you're given advanced standing so that you don't have to take that course again. Dual enrollment, you actually get the college credits, the 3 or 4 college credits. And it's, once the college accepts it, they rebrand it as if you took it right there, and it becomes a UVM or whatever school you're going to. So some, they go directly to the major. Some will go into the general elective. And the other thing that we're hearing a lot from students, and this is my favorite one, is statistics. I always ask this, have any of you taken a statistics class, a college statistics class? Yeah, it's a warp of the brain in a different way for math, it just is. So a lot of business schools will say, no, we won't give you credit for statistics, we'll give you general ed, but we want you to take our statistics. And they tell me time and time and time again that they're so far ahead of their classmates, having taken it here, and they really get it and do better in their programs. So that's what our students are experiencing. Just very quickly, some quotes so that you can see. I have had students talk, but again, sorry, Kathy. I am the first person in my family to go to college, so is I, so this one really gets to me. I'm proud to say that I'll be graduating with 15 college credits they earned through the business program. Glad they took the initiative and enrolled in dual enrollment. Taking the advanced manufacturing course for college credit has helped me understand my college level work and apply to engineering. So that's the other thing we want students to see. It's a manufacturing course, but you can use it in engineering. It may be a medical terminology or a nutrition class, but you can also use it for coaching or mentoring or any. So we want students understanding where they can take this. I graduated high school with 6 credits, and now that I'm in college, I'm going to use those toward my nursing degree. Now, I know this person very well. This is when I got the quote from, I went back through my data, that she's already an RN and doing quite well. And then the next slide. This is what I meant about making sure all students. Being enrolled in a college credit class while still in high school was very challenging, but rewarding. You had to keep up with the work, stay organized. I got a chance to see what college work would look like and feel like before I go to college. The work was harder than high school work, but in the end, I got a head start for once I get to college. I'll be attending Champlain College to major in early childhood education. This was a student who never thought they were going to go to college. And I said, just please, please, please take this class, do it, and you'll see. And then this was one I was just telling you about. So 21 credits. And then when I told that story, two adults in the room told me about their same children got 21 credits for college credit. These partners are from the state of Vermont Agency of Education. These are the colleges that sign a memorandum of understanding with Vermont Agency of Education. They must take all the credits, right? But again, every state in the union takes them, almost 3,000 colleges take them. And then these are our partners. We work very closely. Southern New Hampshire University, CCV, Landmark. Landmark is the one college that we have that doesn't do concurrent, and you have to be neurodiverse learner on an IEP 504 EST. And they have developed since the pandemic this awesome online high school dual enrollment program. And most of the kids start with perspective and learning, so they learn how they learn. They chart their sleep. Are they better if they sleep, if they do this and they do that? So they get an idea of how they learn. And then we've had them go on and take personal finance, intro to business, sociology. One is science and wellness now. River Valley Community College. Norwich is our newest partner, my savior. We lost SIT because they don't have undergraduate programming anymore, so they really technically can't be dual enrollment. And Norwich stepped up and took almost all their classes and added more. The new Vermont State University System, which is the collective of all the campuses, really closely with Brattleboro Development Corporation. Told you about GS Precision. I should have had VMH on here.
Vermont State University, V.S.A, the Vermont Student Assistance Corporation, all kinds of money out there, you guys know. They're giving $16,500 a year for forgivable loans for anybody who will go into mental health, manufacturing, education, right? And as long as you come back and work in Vermont, they'll forgive it. So please look into this if you know people who are off to college and looking. All right, our future, I want to continue to promote dual enrollment opportunities, but very deliberately. So now what we're doing is we're having students, I did one yesterday, did one today, it's so fun. A student wants to take a biology major at UVM. He's a junior. We pulled up everything that UVM needs and picked all of his courses for next year so that they'll transfer right in and he can save even more. So it's deliberate, it's no longer random. Expanding our partners, our community agencies. This is what I meant by random acts. I want students to take things because that way they'll know. Like I just had a student in the nursing program who was like, well, I know I'm not going to do nursing. So, right, it's good that they know while they're still in high school. And then we want to get back to that personalized learning plan of the very directed so that students are the captain of their own ship and that they know where to go, how to get out of their way, and to keep moving forward deliberately. All right, that's me. Questions, comments, concerns?
So what do you tell a student who comes in and says, should I take AP English or dual enrollment English?
That's a great question. I just had that asked of me today.
I'm sure.
So my answer to that is, so there's AP Lit and there's AP Lang, right? So first of all, we look at their schedule. And there's 4 classes now on our campus that get dual enrollment for English. And I just tell them, this class is going to give you a lot of knowledge and a lot of help, AP, for writing and analyzing your work. You will not get college credit or advanced placement unless you get that 4 or 5. If you're a really strong test taker, then feel free. But I also encourage you to take a dual enrollment class because it is transcripted and it will go. And we have college literature, children's literature, English composition, professional writing and communication, and those are a block. And I explain it and give the students always their choice.
Yeah, and I think colleges like dual enrollment more because the dual enrollment classes are more akin to actual college classes and AP. AP doesn't quite get the whole course.
You know, I will accept your opinion on that. I just know that colleges have been very, very, very accepting of our dual enrollment English courses.
Yeah.
I'd love to give them more, but
Nice job.
so we have 2 on the high school side and 2 on the career center side to balance it. So
Thank you, Rhonda.
thank you for the question.
You said that one of the goals was making sure that every student understands the benefits and how to utilize these classes. Can you tell me about, like, what does that look like? Does they find out about this when they work with their counselor to sign up for the next semester, or how do you make sure that everyone understands how this works?
So anytime a student is picking out their courses for the next year, and that's a publicity thing for me to make sure I go in and I talk to grade level classes, I go into advisories, I go into classes, I go into the middle school. Anytime there's an asterisk listed after the name of the course, that means it's for dual enrollment. And oftentimes I invite students in to go and sit for an hour or so into a class that is for dual enrollment to see that they can get a sense of how it works. But it's letting every student know that if that's got that asterisk, it means it's for dual enrollment. And because I used to have it where students were like, whoa, this class is for dual enrollment? I didn't realize that. It still happens. But yeah, and everyone, I go into department meetings, all of the departments. Hannah has been very gracious to offer me to come in to the different department meetings as we move forward. I have met with the special ed department, and we actually have a cohort going to Landmark. So just, it's a lot of getting the word out, getting the word out, getting the word out.
And we also separate it out on the program of studies, right? So that there's a separate section just for dual enrollment classes
Exactly.
in addition to the regular program of studies.
Thank you for that, Hannah, exactly.
Yeah, and I had 2 sons at 2 different levels that took advantage of this, and it was so great for both of them. Just to learn, one to learn what he needs to do for the college level, and the other just to help his, help further his growth and his development. So it was such a benefit for all of our students, the dual enrollment.
It was an honor to be here, Council. Other questions, comments, concerns? So as you go about your daily work, if you see something out in the community where we have a gap and there's something you think you can fill it, please never hesitate to reach out and let me know.
And I'll just say that like both of these people are probably two of the most passionate experts in their areas that we have in high school. Like they are, they do incredible work with our kids.
I love what I do.
It's very apparent in what you guys do.
Yeah, it's a great feeling, isn't it? It's about
That's the admin report. Oh, we have a new hire, actually. That's in our math department, we have a new hire, Kevin Staub. We ask that the board accept this new hire.
Is there a motion to approve the new hire?
So made.
Thank you, Tim. Is there any discussion?
I looked at the material that you gave for this person. His responses to the diversity questions were outstanding. It's really, what a strong candidate.
Yeah, we're lucky, especially this time of year.
Yeah.
Very.
So all those in favor of approving the new hire, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed or abstentions? Okay.
While we're on the subject of hires, I know that this was addressed over email, but I just wanted to bring it into the meeting to talk a little bit about the situation with the lack of substitutes. And I was wondering, Mark, if you could go over what is being done to address that.
I think it's gonna come up at the end of the meeting.
It's gonna come up in
Yeah.
leadership council, I think, yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that's what we're hearing for
Yeah.
that. Okay, we can talk about it then.
So, okay, so I'm going to ask if there is a finding that premature general public knowledge would clearly place the public body or person involved at a substantial disadvantage, with the understanding that there would be a motion to go into executive session under 1 V.S.A. 313A7, the academic records or suspension or discipline of students. Thank you, Deborah. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of that finding, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay. Is there a motion to go into executive session under 1 V.S.A. 313, the academic 313A7, my apologies, the academic records or suspension or discipline of students, and inviting in
Michael Kelleher?
Is that the first one?
Yes.
Mark Spino and Michael Kelleher. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Kim. Any discussion? All those in favor of the going into executive session, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, we are in executive session on this matter at 6:59. Okay, so we are back from executive session. It is now 7:43. And unfortunately for the audience, we have a second executive session under the administration report. So is there a motion to find that premature general public knowledge would clearly place the public body or person involved at a substantial disadvantage, with the understanding that there will be a motion to go into executive session under 1 V.S.A. 313A7, the academic records or suspension or discipline of students?
So moved.
Thank you, Kim. All those in favor of that finding, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, thank you. So is there a motion to go into executive session under 1 V.S.A. 313A7, the academic records or suspension or discipline of students, and inviting in Mark Spino
Keep line.
and Keith Lyman? Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Kim. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay. 7:44, we are back in executive session. Thank you everyone in the audience for your patience. We are back at 8:19. And we are moving on to the fiscal report. Do you have any, I guess Frank's not here, so.
Frank is online.
Ruby, did you want to mention about the IRBC report delay or?
Well, I have, in Putney, I was at a Putney Select Board meeting for a different reason. And the Select Board raised a reference from the last town meeting that, wanting to make sure there are school board members who are ready to answer questions in the audience on town meeting. And that led to conversations around what would be available, what would be presented, the acknowledgement of what's going on in Montpelier. I then emailed with the Independent Budget Review Committee member from Putney, and it sounds like they've made, and also from Christina Naylor, it sounds like they've made a decision. Oh, it looks like Christina Naylor has her hand up. Good, because actually, why don't I not speak for the IBRC, because I'd really like to hear from them. Will we have a report available and when? Because it's that report is really critically important for the people in my town understanding the budget.
Christina, we would love to hear from you.
So we plan to meet tomorrow at 10 o'clock, where we have a few small edits to accept as a committee. Thanks to Frank really running it through. We did this in response to Ruby's request, and we also heard from people in Guilford that the report is helpful. We have removed, we quickly scrambled to remove the tax calculation because I worry that people would review the tax calculation and think that might be what the tax rate would be. And, your guess is as good as mine. I don't have a crystal ball. Frank Rucker does not even have a crystal ball for this one. So I don't think, maybe you do, Frank. So we hope to release that digitally at 10 by 10:30. 11 o'clock at the latest tomorrow. So it will be available. And then we hope to put together a final report prior to the annual meeting once we know kind of where the yield look like it's going to land. Hopefully we'll have some better information as we, as the state collects information from budgets that pass town meeting day. That is our hope.
Great.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions or thoughts or?
Frank has a hand.
Oh, Frank.
Yeah, so thanks for the update, Christina. The only thing I could add is just this morning, the Agency of Education forwarded a talking number that I believe was discussed in the Ways and Means Committee either today or yesterday. And a talking number is 9,785, which is quite a favorable improvement over the number that we were given from the tax commissioner, 9,452. So it is still fluid, but it's definitely moving in a favorable direction. And as you just said, Christina, we do expect after the majority of budgets are considered on town meeting on Tuesday, March 5th, the legislature will be very much more informed on where they might end up with that yield. So I guess all I would add is I think we're moving in the right direction, and I do think that the position the board took based on the discussion we had at the last board meeting, which is to move forward with the March 19 vote as warned, continues to be, I think, our best option.
Anyone else?
I actually do have a follow-up question. Frank, so I'm looking at the handout, the printed version of the budget and the annual report. And I just, based on a request from a Putney resident, was looking at the online version. And can you confirm that the budget, the percentage budget increase is 3%, or is it slightly less than that now?
No, it's 3% as it was presented there when the board approved it on January 23rd. Yes, so
Okay.
that has not changed. And yeah, the file that's online is the exact same file that the printer used to print. So there's definitely no difference.
Okay, great.
There. Mm-hmm. I think as we have discussed in terms of the uncertainty that we all are facing across the state. Just a reminder, Mark and I have discussed this along with the Finance Committee, that we will certainly be able to revisit the revenue assumptions that have a direct effect on the tax rate right up until June 1st, as we always do. That is the deadline for reporting budgets approved by the voter to the tax department. And so, as always, we can look at the revenue assumptions in the context of the yield when the legislature finally does set it, as I say, as we always do, and we can make those assumptions as to how to present a fiscally reasonable proposal to the voters. So those will all be things we can share on March 19 with the electorate. Certainly the committee, the Independent Budget Committee can share that perspective on town meeting. And as we said at the last meeting, because we are in very solid fiscal condition, and we reviewed the audit report the last board meeting, we can weather this storm and present a fiscally responsible budget to the taxpayers.
All right. I forgot to do under the administrative report was the assigning of the articles.
Oh, okay.
So, assuming that we're all set on that, the IRBC report. Now, I'm gonna go back to the administrative report. And so, Deborah and I met with Mark and Mo Hart and Steve Brown, who's the moderator for the annual meeting. And there are 4 articles that need to be read at the annual meeting. So I guess we're looking for people who would be offering themselves up to read them. Robin?
Are you jumping to assignment of articles for annual district meeting?
Yes.
Oh, under new business, B. Here, look.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh my God, never mind. I thought that it was under the admin report. I didn't realize that it was actually, never mind. I will hold on. I didn't realize that had gotten in specifically. So, okay, so we will go back to the consent agenda. My apologies. All those
I'm just trying to figure out where we are in the
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of February 13, 2024? Thank you, Sean. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge these minutes were created with the assistance of our new recorder, Tracy Drotz. Just wanted to thank her for her work.
Thank you for that, Robin. And thank you, Tracy. Yes.
As one of my roles on the Communications Council is to post the minutes, and we've been posting the summaries that are at the top of them, and so I just wanted to acknowledge how immensely helpful the bulleted summary is at the top, and in terms of engagement points, we've received, pretty regularly when we post it, appreciation about sharing them and also sharing the summary, because, as much as I put posts of links and this, that, the other, having something to scan is really critically important for some people in terms of accessing the information. So thank you for all you're doing, both of you, Tracy and Rada, in that regard. That's great.
I'd like to echo that, because the Finance Committee meeting minutes are also impeccably done.
All those in favor of approving the minutes of February 13, 2024, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay. Now we will move on to public comment on non-agenda items, 10 minutes. Anyone making a comment can expect a response that falls into one of the following categories. Receive an acknowledgement of the comment with no further action planned. Receive an immediate response by the board chair or administration. Administration would be directed to contact and respond to the person. Clarification sought from the administration for a specified meeting. The topic would be added to a specified future board agenda. The matter would be referred to an executive session. A public hearing would be held on the matter. Do we have anyone on Zoom who would like to speak? Public comment, non-agenda items. Anyone here? I see that we have anyone here who would like to speak? Public comment. I'm going to ask one more time. Public comment, non-agenda items. And we're moving on at 8:31. Okay. So now we will move on to new business, policy and amendment.
So the Policy and Amendment Committee is presenting for a first reading 3 policies. F22, Student Assessment, G1, Curriculum Development and Coordination, and H2, Parental Involvement Policy, which will be renamed Family Engagement Policy. So these are being presented for a first reading, 10 days, and any comment, concerns, questions, please send an email to anyone on the committee.
I'd like to make a comment. Okay.
Sure.
The parental involvement, the family engagement policy, there's a note there about an AOE family engagement survey, which I would highly recommend that the chairs of the leadership councils take a look at it. Could be a very useful tool. And that's in the proposed family engagement policy, the one that's going for first reading.
So that's in H2, and it's going to be under implementation number 5.
Very nice.
Thank you. Why would you expect anything less? Thank you very much, Timothy. I also just want to make a comment that G8, Continuous Improvement Plan, was presented at the last board meeting for a second reading, but due to a glitch, it will not be presented for readoption until March 12th at the next board meeting. So we haven't forgotten about G8 in case any of you have been waiting to hear about readoption. It's coming up. Thank you.
Next episode. Anything else on that? And we are moving on. Let's see. 8:33. Okay. And now we genuinely go back to the assignment of articles for annual district meeting. So as I said, there are four people to, Article 1, I'll read that and then I'll read them through and then you can determine if you are offering to present. This is Article 1. I move that the reports of the district officers be approved as presented. Article 2, Mark introduces the Article 2, and then he will ask, is there a motion? And the motion is, I move that Steve Brown be nominated to serve as moderator of the Windham Southeast School District, that Maureen Hart be nominated to serve as clerk of the district, and that Frank Rucker be nominated to serve as treasurer of the district. That's Article 2. Article 3 is, I move that the voters of the Windham Southeast School District authorize compensation in the amount of $7,000 to each director, and that the chair of the board will receive an additional $2,000 for a total of $72,000 for the entire board. That's Article 3.
72? Isn't that 7?
Plus 2,000 more for the.
Oh, right, yeah, sorry. Okay.
Okay, you had me questioning. Okay. Article 4, I move that the voters of the Windham Southeast School District authorize the school board to expend $846 should be thousand.
Yes.
I'm reading it from the numbers. Okay, $65,846,891, which is the amount the school board has determined to be necessary for the ensuing fiscal year. So so is there anyone who is willing to move the first motion?
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
I'd like to set a precedent that the chair of the committee read the first article every year. So I'd like to nominate you to read the first article.
I actually won't be there, so it'll be Deborah.
Or the vice chair.
Why?
Just to set a precedent of the chair kicking off the reading of the articles.
It would be the first one.
No, I understand. It's the first one. I move that the reports of the district officers be approved as presented.
Are you willing to do that?
Sure.
May I ask a question?
I'm not quite sure.
Is there, are we vocalizing the preamble, the paragraph above? Is that being read out as well? Like the legal voters of WSESD comprising the voters of the towns and blah, 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 blah. Where are you? On the warning, there's either the paragraph above the articles that introduces the articles.
What page is that on?
What page are you on?
9. Page 9. That's where the warning is.
Okay.
And while you're finding it, it seems to me that if there were a precedent to be set in terms of the what voice are you hearing, it would be appropriate for the chair.
Doesn't the moderator read?
I think the moderator hasn't been.
Yeah, I think that he doesn't do anything until he gets appointed on the second article.
I think that the voice of the chair or whoever's chairing, or possibly the superintendent, is who's doing that. But I just wonder if if there's a precedent, that's the appropriate place for it.
I didn't think what happened last year.
Well, it was either Mark or the chair.
It wasn't me.
But the initial paragraph is the warning that the meeting is going to happen. So isn't it like we're already there? Do we really need to read that part?
Well, we need to do something other than say Article 1 is, right? So there's some preamble.
There is some preamble, but it's not by members of the board. I believe I believe the moderator does something. Oh, where do we have the?
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's
The minutes from
Yeah.
last year.
On page 2.
Yes.
It does say he called the meeting to
He called the meeting to order, so it must have been Steve Brown who, if he said anything, it would have been said by him because he called the meeting to order.
Could have been Mark.
Mhm.
I'm looking at
It
the,
says it was Stephen Brown.
so, Steve Brown will do there's some other, he's gonna call to order and he's gonna do, a couple other things and, announcements, et cetera. And then it will be the articles will be presented.
And it does say here that the chair presented Article 1.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking at page 3. Am I reading this correctly?
Yep.
Right, that Kelly Young.
I did.
Yeah, yes, it does say it, Article 1 here, right here.
So we have
Right.
precedent.
Right,
Okay.
so be it, Article 1 is the chair. Is that what we have determined?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm happy to do whatever you need to do. I don't actually care what article. I'm happy to do an article as well.
I'll do Article 3.
Okay.
I can do 2.
1, 2, 3.
Kim, you will do 2
Ruby 4.
Okay, Kim, I'm sorry.
and
wait one
Robin will do 3.
Okay, Robin.
I'm happy to do 4. Although I don't know if Sean is the finance committee chair. I don't know if you'd like
Do
to.
you want to do
Article
with the budget?
4,
Yeah.
Frank and I will get together and
Okay.
coalesce a good statement.
And then there, it doesn't have a space for the last one, the 5th, but Ruby, would you like to?
I'm happy to. It might be that the moderator.
Against the moderator.
Okay. Maybe that's why there's only 4 spots here.
It might be that the moderator does it.
Okay, well, if not, then
Okay, so where are we? We're at Article 5.
Yep.
It looks like. Yeah. Okay, Article 5.
okay, so what I have is Deborah will read Article 1. I have Kim will read Article 2. I have Robin will read Article 3, and I have Sean will read Article 4. Okay. So unless we have any questions, comments, thoughts, etc., we will move on. Okay. Okay, now we will go on to the Leadership Council updates. Are there any? Leadership, Sean?
I don't have a leadership council update, but I did send to all board members the sort of a review that came from John Gagner, the principal of Guilford School. What's happening in Guilford School in terms of development, PTO development, all the extracurricular activities, all the educational opportunities. So I just wanted to acknowledge what I deemed a pretty comprehensive report.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that, Sean.
So I'd like to present something from the Dummerston Leadership Council. I was not at their last meeting, but this is what they have posted. The Dummerston Leadership Council formally requests that the school board prioritize the issue around the shortage of substitute educators to fill essential roles and provide adequate staffing to fulfill student services and contractual teacher obligations. We request this issue be put on the board agenda ASAP with confirmation of advanced notice greater than a warned meeting.
I don't understand that last part. Why greater than a warned meeting?
Maybe more, maybe they want to have more time, maybe they want to say, well, it's not at the next meeting, but at the, like 2 meetings, so that they have enough time to
But
make sure
it's
that.
got to be on the agenda. So it can't go before the agenda.
But they
I
can be
think they're
notified.
looking for more outreach than just posting an agenda. That's how I read it.
Okay.
I wasn't there, so I can't answer these questions.
I can share what we've been doing and are currently doing to efforts put forward towards more substitute teachers and overall staffing. And I'll list some examples, and you've all seen these in my email response over vacation. But we have increased our daily sub-rate pay to the highest in our area. We continue to do regular advertisements on radio and print. We are having success. We are regularly hiring subs to our list. For example, we currently have 13 potential subs that we are waiting fingerprint results from. We have an additional 7 whom have just received fingerprint results and will be in the system likely early next week. We are exploring the development of a bonus program to hopefully enhance more subs to take more jobs. In relation to this, we have developed and distributed a feedback survey that was sent to all subs on the Monday of vacation, and then again on Monday of this week. The goal of the survey is to evaluate our system so that we can make potential adjustments of support for substitute teachers, as well as to potentially target areas of interest for subs and for our schools. We have initiated our Grow Our Own program right before to support paraeducators in furthering their education to acquire teaching licenses. Just the week right before vacation, we evaluated applications, and we have our first cohort of 5 paras. We will continue to support future cohorts each year moving forward. Currently, in terms of our success rate with subs taking jobs, we have a 75% take rate. The goal is certainly to increase this percentage with the initiatives I just listed, and more ideas that maybe have not been captured at this time. So just tomorrow, we have a full day admin meeting. One of our agenda items is to review the results of the survey that went out to all of our substitute teachers and try to identify some trends, see what the data is telling us, and see if that will lead to some more ideas.
Just explain what do you mean by a 75% take rate? Does that mean 75% of needs are filled by subs, or does it mean something else?
Essentially, of all the jobs that have been posted from September to now, we've filled 75% of them.
So 25% of the time there is no sub, and the school just has to make do some other way.
Correct.
May I ask a question? How is that spread amongst the schools in the district? Is that 25% showing up in certain schools at higher rates than others?
I don't have that data in front of me. I'm sure we can get that data. Yeah.
I appreciate the aggressive stance you're taking to recruit new teachers. It's coming at a time when a lot of us know that the governor's office is advocating for larger classes and for teachers to pay more of their salary towards health insurance. So at a time when we're trying so hard, when teachers are leaving the profession at such a rapid rate, it's just a horrible time for the state to be making the profession even more challenging with larger classes and less net take-home pay. Very unfortunate.
Yeah, I think we have some really good initiatives. And we just got to see the fruits of the labor now. I also did bring copies of a New York Times article around just the issue of substitute teachers and filling in for teachers. It's a national topic. And this article just came out last week, actually, and I thought it tied to the email and the agenda item very well. So
more than that, I like what our HR director says. The best recruitment is retention.
Yes.
I just want to acknowledge that it may be good for us to, perhaps through Deborah, alert the Dummerston Leadership Council that this was shared, that there was discussion so that they can see the recording. And just be clear with understanding what kind of advance notice they're asking about, because I do think it would be good to invite their voice at the table. But also, we can't just stop conversation to wait until they're in the room. We don't want to do that. It's an important issue, and it's good that it's flagged, but I think it'd be being proactive about reaching out to them would be a good idea.
So I have reached out to the Dummerston LC, just to let them know, just to remind them that this same issue was documented. Thank you. This same issue was documented on October 12th, 2023, and communicated to the entire SD board by me shortly afterwards. Exactly the same issue. Again, that staffing is of concern in our district. And I certainly made them aware that their superintendent, Mark Spino, is aware of this. Their principal is aware of this. I'm aware of it and have certainly brought it to this board in the past. And I will report back to them.
I know that this is something that other schools are experiencing beside Dummerston, but I'm glad that they keep bringing it up so that we can discuss it. And I will look forward to a more robust conversation where teachers' voices are shared on how this is impacting them as well.
Well, I think those teachers' voices go directly to their principal and to their superintendent. Yes, the school board gets involved, but it is exactly the series of bullets that Mark just read. That is ultimately his responsibility. So
I know
I'm just saying, we'll keep on bringing this forward as often as necessary. Yeah.
$75. $75. I don't know. I think it's 125 or 35. Not sure exactly.
Liz, you have your hand up?
That's
Yes, I do. I have heard about
150 a day.
I've heard from a member of the Dummerston Leadership Council part of what this is going to be about. And I have really grave concerns about it. So Mark and Kelly and Deborah, I will email you about what my concerns are. And if that indeed does come up, it's, in my opinion, is going to be the first cracking point of the WSESD. And that's something that I know the board has tried to not have happened. It's happened many places in this state. I don't want to say anything more in public, but I am really, really concerned. You might, if what I was told is correct, you might want a moderator for the meeting.
Well, please send us an email, Liz, and we'll see what we can do to address that. Okay.
I will.
All right. Thank you. And we'll watch out for that email. Any other leadership council updates before we move on to the subcommittees? Okay, we are moving on to the board. Sorry, Liz, thank you for your comment. Thank you for your contribution to the meeting. Moving on to the subcommittees. Any committees that would like to share anything or? Okay, going second time or moving on? Okay. We are moving on to the last item on the agenda. And that is, the board had a retreat on, I had got my dates right. It was on the 20th.
It's on the 20th.
Yep, February 20th. Thank you, Deborah, for confirming that I'm not listening. So there was a request we did not pay the moderator, but a request was to make, in lieu of payment, to make a donation. So to the Green Mountain Girls Camp.
Camp for girls.
Green Mountain Camp for Girls. Okay. So the motion on us. Is there a motion for a particular amount?
So I move that we make a $1,000 donation to the Green Mountain Camp for Girls.
I know that we don't have to have a second, but I think I would like to.
Second.
Okay. It's Deborah and Kim. Okay, any discussion?
It's a nice gesture from the moderator.
Yeah.
I just wanted to name that it was Christina Naylor who was the moderator that suggested this, and she did a terrific $1,000 worthy job of moderation. So in support of the motion.
Thank you, Christina.
Yes, thank you, Christina. So a motion's been made and it has been seconded. All those in favor of making the donation of $1,000 to the Green Mountain Camp for Girls in lieu of payment to the moderator for the board retreat on February 20th, 2024, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, wonderful. So, is there anything else that? Anne, are you available?
Madam Chair, there being no further business before this board, I move that we adjourn.
All those in favor of adjourning for the evening, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Thank you very much, everyone. We are adjourned at 8:56. Thank you, everyone who has joined us on Zoom. And have a nice evening. Thank you, all the administrators, for being here and